at home decided to watch some TV, listening to the news like Gordon Mosley. Listening to the things that he say he tracking tonight, paying close attention to make sure I hear it right. But when I hear the things that he mentioned on the news, I had to declare them kind of thing got me confused. I hear some things where the ERC noticing, and it convinced people that people ain't learning nothing. We hear so many times about them big name calling, and they say the ERC pretend that they didn't learn nothing. But once you're black and you just decide to say a word or two, bet your life on that, they say the ERC coming for you. Listen to the things you just hear on social media. Only one set of people allowed to talk in one Guyana. I still say nothing, black people in learning. But this is my concern. I hope one day black people will learn. ERC that I would like to know, if any of its members happens to be black people. And if that is the case, I want them to answer this call. Tell me how come none of them ain't got no voice at all. You're showing signs of weakness and you're afraid to be fair, and we see the same thing happening year after year. And the day will come when all this nonsense will stop. That will be the day when black people decide to wake up. Not so long ago, something terrible happened. This young Indian man want to kill out all black people by poison. But if his shoes was on the other foot, would have been a big threat. But up to this day, this ERC can do nothing as yet. How come it's only black people committing cybercrime? When pretty on social media fussing people all the time, I still say black people in learning. But one day will come when the entire table will turn. Excuse me, see they fail to condemn, because these people think that the law is only for them. And anybody else who decide to file a complaint, they go call you a racist and don't want to hear nothing. Plenty complaint from time to time has been brought to their attention, but because of this one-sided cybercrime is why they don't show any concern. There's only one set of people that they really care about, and black people must take the abuse and shut them out. Kidaki Amsterdam went to court just recently for an issue that was highlighted by the same ERC. And with breakneck speed, the police decide to jump on his case without a search warrant event and search up the man's place. Let us all agree that black people under attack. Different laws for you and me just because we black. are still singing. Black people in London. To all my black friends, we must put a stop to all this nonsense. Many the cybercrime laws to keep people silent, just to make sure nobody criticizes this government. And while that is a very clear case of dictatorship, it is no surprise that the ERC ignoring it. Why only the chosen few is allowed to have things their way, when people like me and you must have nothing to say? And when ministers in the government start to launch their attack, you never hear this ERC come out and talk about that. They send a policeman all the way to New York. This fella went up there to serve a customer man with forward. Under this thing, this government decide to fabricate a case, but like they forget the warning they get from Latisha James. The vice president described that he use as a low life. Because of this kind of abuse, he don't have a wife. I still singing. Black people in learning. Just the other day, I hope your man see help is on the way.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongue, you're looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work. But everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Nam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is, Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you. All right, so you might be wondering where we are, still in Buxton at Club Twilight. That's where we are. So Club Twilight also has like an Airbnb as well. So you could come, drink, drunk, and come in the back here and lie down. Look at that. Look at that. Perfection. And the people come in the room and so on. The bed sheet matching the blind, matching the carpet, matching the this, matching the that. We know what we things in Buxton don't play with we. So definitely, if you want to come and you may be having a wedding or whatever, and you just want to overnight and just have a good time because you're gonna be drunk. We got too much road accidents, so you definitely want to come drink, have a good time. They have several rooms that you can rent. You have your toilet, you have your bath, you have your sink, you have your dining area, you have the bed. This is nice. I like it. Anyways, to my friends and my family, if you're looking for me, I'll be overnighting. Also, for those persons who are traveling in from overseas, you want a nice, cozy place out of town, then Club Twilight, call them up, look them up on social media. They have their own Facebook page, and ensure that you come up the side and have a good time. Have a good time. Have a good time. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's it.
AP and you, rise Guyana shine. Together we build, now is the time. With Aubrey strong and heart so true, we're rising up. It's me and you. Oh, for justice, for every family, everywhere. For jobs, for schools, for brighter days. For youth and elders, better ways. Who you voting for? Who gon' lift you more? Who gon' care for all? Stand up tall and vote. AP and you, go, 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 go. AP and you, go, 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 go. AP and you, go, 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 go. AP and you.
How many bowel movements do you have a day? If the answer is one or less, we need to talk. Everything starts in the gut. Toxins, bloating, constipation, even parasites can build up silently, affecting your mood, your skin, your immune system, and your energy. Ultra Body Cleanse is a simple 15-day system. Morning tablet to flush from the inside. Nighttime tea to detox and reset. People don't realize it, but most problems start in the gut. And when you clean it out, you feel lighter, you look healthier. You finally go. Like you should. Don't wait for symptoms. Ask your artist distributor today how to start your Ultra Body Cleanse.
So Wambai, all you do, may you support the coalition like me? Very good choice, because the coalition putting people first. But let me ask you something. You check for your name on the list yet? Well, partner, you got to check for your name on the list and show you there. So you go put the vote next to the palm come the 1st of September. Let me show you how to check them. In a hard, man. You just got to go up on GCOM website. When you go up on GCOM website, you go see this thingy. You see them? That GCOM website. You just got to scroll up or scroll down, whichever one you want to call them, but you try to go bottom of the page. And you see this red and white writing here, Resource Hub. Click on that. Once you click on that, you will see general and regional election for September 2025. Scroll up again. And then right on your left hand side, you see query tool. Watch me click on them and it turn blue there. Click on them. Good. Now you read the page there. They ask you online. They tell you about online tools, query your registration status. All them say check to see if your name there. You can put in your ID number and you can search by ID number. But me, I want to give you my ID number because not for you too fast. Now what my ID number? Me go search by my first name, my last name, and my date of birth. So me put in Kidaki Amsterdam. Me put in my first name Kidaki Amsterdam. Me put in my last name. Right? And then me go put in my date of birth. But again, I don't want to mind my business. But me go put in my date of birth. But are you watch me face good and proper? Me, I want coalition supporter because the coalition is putting people first. Right? When we don't put in my date of birth and you don't put in, you want to click on search by particulars. When you click on search by particulars, this is how I go come up. You see revised list of electors and so on. We watch. Watch your name there right there. Me name there right there. When you scroll down, we name there right there. Occupation, teacher name, Amsterdam, Kidaki. Address, 9 section C, Buxton. District 4, Demerara, Mahika. Division 421-127C. Buxton Village, Friendship Village, south of the railway line. We tell you, man. No one background side, man. And me stay strong, me as support the RB Norton for president and director of finance for prime minister coalition, the APNU coalition. Because they got policies that are people-centered. They're putting people first. So when September 1st come and you go in the booth, now whether all of them just come, Johnny come lately, and all of them will tell you stupidness. Put your X next to the palm. Palm them out. You understand? Let me show you what the palm look like when you put your X next to. In case you don't know. What's the palm there? Put your X next to the palm and vote strong for the APNU coalition. Because we put in people first, and when you vote for we're going to ensure, you vote going to ensure that we get rid of the nasty, dirty, stinking, thieving PPP party and give you the best opportunity in this country that you ever had. So vote APNU. But before you vote APNU, remember you have to check to ensure that you're named upon the list. So go GCOM website. Go check them. Okay? Me gone. Me left for you. But spread the word. Spread the word. Tell everybody how to check for the name and tell everybody to vote for APNU. Buxton, Guyana, it's here again. The Black is Beautiful Cultural Evening this July 31st, Buxton Line Top, featuring Mark Batson, Divine Stars, Brian Chester, Eyes of the Ancestors on the drums, Buxton Fusion, and the indomitable Yoruba singers. Lots of songs, poetry, Nancy story, dance, and lots more cultural entertainment. Come out. Buxton Line Top, this July 31st. It is the annual 1st of August movement and friends. Black is Beautiful. Evening of cultural entertainment. Calling all seniors. It's soiree time. Yes, the big people soiree, say August 1st at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. Come out. Come on, let's feast and well-prepared African traditional dishes and be entertained by drumming, folklore, music, and lots more. Admission, it's absolutely free. Come out, let us celebrate our elders. It's the Elders Soiree at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North, August 1st. Come one, come all. Starting time, 12 o'clock, midday. Are you looking for tents to rent? Well, look no further. At EC Party Rentals, Sideline Dam, Buxton North, we have tents in all sizes and colors. All sizes of tents we have. Small tents, big tents, medium tents, extra large tents. Call us on 622-5933. We have what you need. EC Party Rentals. Big on tents. Are you hosting an event? Do you need ice, party ice in large or small quantities? Then call us at 622-5933 for the best party ice available. $1,000 per bag. We do delivery. EC Crystals, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. Call to have your orders filled today. Planning a party? Worry no more. We have all the supplies you need. At EC Party Rentals, we have folding chairs, folding tables, square tables, round tables, long tables, short tables, big tables. We have chairs, red chairs, gold chairs, white chairs, crystal chairs, chairs of all type, throne chairs. What you want, we have. Food warmers, coolers, ice, beverages. At EC Party Rentals, we have what you need to have a good time. You plan the party, We do the work. Call us 622-5933. Easy Party Rentals. Let's keep your party going.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T and W Harris Butcher Shop located in the East Rheinveld Market Meat section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T and W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey. Too long them PPP fatten up while we beg. Milk and honey gone, but we still drink dregs. Them build big house while school roof fall, and poor man crying when rain start fall. Them take oil, gold and timber too, but the children hungry. Tell me what to do. From Berber straight to let them side, it's only lies them they're trying to hide. It's been too long, too long. The PPP must go. We've been silent while them do wrong. Too long, too long. Them thiefing with a suit and a song. Too long, too long. We paid the price, they played the done. Guyana rise, we must be strong. This can't go on. Nah, this can't go on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Contract sign in the middle of night. No tender, no board, just bribe and spite. Them cousin, them friend, them pot the deal. While pensioners can't afford one meal. The court slow, the press hush, hush. And critics end up on the bus. You talk too loud, they label you bad. But silence now gon' drive we mad. It's been too long, too long. The PPP must go. We've been watching while they plunder and gone. Too long, too long. It's only rich men they cheering on. Too long, too long. We dream dead while they live strong. Guyana rising with freedom song. This can't go wrong. Nah, this can't go on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who owned the trucks? Who get the land? Who signed the check with blood on hand? Oil money flow, but not to we. Where the hospital? Where the subsidy? It's been too long, too long. The PPP must go. We suffering wrong. Stand tall. Time for change come strong. Too long, too long. The PPP must go. The nation mourning song. One people, one nation, one destiny. Arise up and move along. This can't go on. Nah. Justice, justice, justice now. We tired of bowing down. Freedom, freedom, freedom now. Time to reclaim we crown. Justice, 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 this now. We tired of bowing down.
Greetings, greetings, residents of Anns Grove and surrounding communities. The Working People's Alliance, WPA, an APNU partner invites you to its public meeting this Wednesday, July 30th at the Ansgrove Market Square, 6 p.m. Your speakers, Professor David Hines, Takumo Gonse, Dion Abrams, Audriana Thomas, Kidaki Amsterdam, and leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton. Come one, come all. This Wednesday, July 30th, Ansgrove Market Square, the Working People's Alliance, an APNU partner, invites you to its public meeting, 6 o'clock in the evening. Come one, come all. Hello, hi, good morning, welcome to another program of Chinese Morning Time. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is 25 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour on Tuesday, the 29th day of July in the year 2025. Some people think I'm late. I'm not late. I'm simply deliberate. I see there's a healthy conversation still going on based on the information presented on yesterday's program. And when that is happening, it really makes sense to me to allow it to go at least up to a certain time. Let me start by saying, how you doing? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How have you been keeping? What were you able to achieve yesterday that brought you closer to achieving those SMART goals which you set? How exuberant are you? How enthusiastic are you? Do you believe that there is hope? You can't give up on hope, So you best believe that there is hope. Are you working diligently? Have you joined the team? I suggested to you weeks ago that each and every citizen, each and every one of you must become an ambassador for the APNU. And so you go there, you get the relevant information as we have been providing through these programs. Definitely, I can speak for myself. You get information, lots of information from this program. As I say, take your information, become an ambassador, and talk to your neighbor, talk to your children, talk to people in your community, talk to people far that you have contact with, and encourage them to become an ambassador too, so that resoundingly across this country, the APNU can get the kind of support that it needs to put the PPP to pasture. I'm reminding you, please, that is what you have to do. Each of you have to become an ambassador. This is not about Aubrey Norton, leader of the coalition. This is not about David Hines, leader of the coalition. This is not about Ganesh Maipal and Joretta Finance, Joretta being prime ministerial candidate for the coalition. This is about all of us, every single one of us citizens of this country. Especially if you feel oppressed. Especially if you feel that the PPP has been taking the eyes and past you all the time. Become an ambassador. Get the word out there that the only viable option right now to remove the PPP from office is the APNU. There's no if and but about that. It is the APNU, and it should remain the APNU. Ask yourself this question. And I keep encouraging you to ask yourself this question. Do you really think that at its first rodeo, let me call it that, the Blue Party can remove the PPP from government? Yesterday, Ancestral told us for all the 60 plus years he has been in politics, he has never seen a political party move from 0 to 51%. And so resoundingly, the answer for me is no. I've been saying all the time it is no. There's no way the Blue Party can come from 0 and win the next elections in this country. I see Sonny Mahadio saying, imagine the Blue Party beating APNU, you want this PPP. There's no evidence, and in realism, the Blue Party is not beating the APNU. I don't see that happening. As some people say, under the dead body. I don't see that happening. That is propaganda. That is what you would like people to believe. The reality is that the PPP is floundering. The PPP right now is desperate. The PPP is doing all manner of things to try to, quote unquote, curry favor and buy black people votes. And if you're so confident of winning an election because of popular support, then you're not going to be doing that kind of stuff. You're not going to be doing that kind of stuff. So let's keep that in mind. We are a few days to the elections, to maybe about 34 days. Right? We got 2 days remaining in this July month. And then we got 31 in August. That's 33 days. And elections is on the 34th day. So we got roughly 34 days to, I would say 33 days to an election. If you haven't decided by now who you're going to vote for, and can defend that decision, I want to say you're behind. You're below the curve. By now, like I said, you should be campaigning heavily as an ambassador for the coalition government. Don't tell me that you don't like the PPP in government and you're going to vote for the Blue Party or any other party other than the APNU. Because if you were to vote for any other party other than the APNU, you simply are voting to keep the PPP in government. Last night, I benefited from the insights of a discourse on TikTok. And there were lots of insights. Thank you, Sexy Onika. That's the name of the host. And there were lots of others. Blessings and Zion, Bong, Zion, I can't remember all the names. But all those of you who are on that panel, if any of you is on the program this morning, welcome. And thank you for the insights. Because one of the misunderstandings that people seem to have in this society is that after the election, political parties can come together and take the seat of government. Can't happen. Will not happen. The law doesn't permit it. And let me explain that. There are several ways by which you can get the government. Well, I would say there's a singular way by which you can get the government. The party with the largest block of votes singularly is the party that wins the executive, the government. The party that gets the single largest block of vote wins the government. Everybody else becomes an opposition to that party in the National Assembly, in the parliament. Right? Good. Now, if everybody were to go to the elections as individuals, individual parties, then that is straightforward. The party with the largest single block of vote will get the government. But there are other, what we call construct, like a join the list. Right? A join the list. What is a join the list? A join the list is an agreement between two or more political parties that once the votes are counted, they will, what's the word I'm looking for? Put their votes together. There's another word I want to use. I think it's the C word. Right? But it's not collate. But they will basically pull their votes together. So let's say party A, B, and C are in the joint list. When the votes are finished counting, party A gets 4, party B gets 6, and party C gets 2. And they pull that together. They will get 12 votes. If 12 votes are enough to get you a seat, then the joiner list will get a seat. The joiner list will get a seat. But the party that gets to occupy that seat is the one that got the most votes counted individually. And so the party that gets 6 out of the 12 is going to get that seat. At least that is what Court de Silva represented the law to mean, and nobody has challenged it. It's not a seat that can be shared around you take peace and you take peace and you take peace. It is the party with the largest number of votes in that joint list that gets to occupy that seat. That's a joint list. Likewise, if that joint list gets the majority of seats in the National Assembly, it still cannot form the government if none of those parties in the joint list got the majority of the votes as a singular block. Let me explain this. We got party A. We don't say A, B, and C in a joint list. We got party D, which contested by itself. A, B, C, and D got 12 votes. But party D by itself got 8 votes. Because party D by itself got 8 votes compared to party B in the joint list that got 6 votes, party D is going to form that government. The joint list is going to be a majority in the parliament, and so you end up with what you call a minority government. Now, in other democracies, or in real democracies, when there is a minority government, what you usually have happening is negotiation taking place. In that the party that won the government will reach across the aisle, as we like to say, and negotiate with parties who are sitting in parliament with votes, opposition votes. And what they do basically, horse trading. This is how the horse trading might go. Listen, for your support in the National Assembly, we will give you 2 ministerial positions. It is allowed. Those 2 ministerial positions, mind you, have to be technocratic positions because those 2 persons will not come from the list of the winning party. So they got to be technocrat positions. And so when the ruling party brings up a motion, for example, in parliament, because of their arrangement, then it is expected that the opposition parties or the opposition party will show their vote behind them so that they can get a majority of votes. In some instances, it's not done like that. Some people say, listen, no, we want to join your government. But we will allow you to be the government. But when you come to parliament, we will examine what you're bringing to parliament. And we will negotiate based on what comes to parliament. So if, for example, you come to parliament with your budget, and your budget has 5% for public servants, and the opposition believes that public servants should get 15%, then they say to you, you need to increase the public servants' wages and salaries to 15%, or we are not going to vote to pass your budget. We are going to vote your budget down. And if you don't get your budget passed, obviously you can't do anything as a government. You will fall. And negotiations can take place around that issue. And so what you might find happening, all right, we can give public servants 50, we can give them 12. Because negotiation took place and the opposition say, all right, to move you from 5 to 12 is an accomplishment by itself. We're going to live with 12. Good. But there is only one singular route to the presidency, and that is by a party winning the largest block of vote singularly. So those of you who tell yourselves, listen, Mohammed can't beat the PPP outright, but he could win enough votes and then join those votes with somebody else in the parliament, and they will get the government. No. That's a total misunderstanding. It doesn't happen like that. The only way to put the PPP out of office is to ensure some political party other than the PPP gets the largest block of votes. And the only political party from where I sit capable of getting the largest block of vote in this current election is the APNU. There's nobody who can convince me otherwise. Nobody can convince me otherwise. And I'm therefore saying to you, if you're going to put your votes anywhere else except with the coalition, you don't want to see the backs of the PPP. You don't want to see the backs of the PPP. Because every vote that you put somewhere other than the coalition, the possibility is you're reducing the number of votes that the coalition will get. And the PPP, from history perhaps, has been able to maintain its base for quite a while. Whether it's by bullyism, whether it's by coercion, the PPP has kept Indo-Guyanese, quote-unquote, Indo-Guyanese in line every time. I'm not saying there are not a few defectors who will go quietly and vote for a party other than the PPP. But the reality is, from where I sit, the PPP has been able to keep Indo-Guyanese voting for it. Come election, go election. And on the contrary, y'all ain't gonna like this statement, but it's black people who seem to want to be jumping from bow to stern. Jumping from the coalition to jump to PPP, to jump to the Mohammeds, to jump to forward Ghana or backward Ghana, upside down Ghana, to jump to this party and jump to that party. African Guyanese exhibit the least loyalty to their own cause. The people talking about Mohammed or the Blue Party beating APNU and so, the majority of them, if you were to judge from nomination day, are young black people. And I keep asking the question, why do you believe that somebody who doesn't look like you, number one, and somebody who has been contributing to your demise for decades is suddenly going to wake up and be the answer to your problems? Why you suddenly believe that they're going to be the answer to your problem? The answer to your problems lies with the APNU. And if you can't see that, come the morning of the 2nd of September, I will watch you all with sore eyes, because the PPP going to be right there, triumphant, thinking about the next way to oppress your black ass. Strong words. Strong words. But words that must be spoken. It's as real as that. On the panel last night, somebody asked me, Mr. Officer, why it is the APNU is focusing its campaign on African Guyanese, or predominantly African Guyanese community. I don't see them doing a lot of meetings in Indo-Guyanese communities, for example. And that's not right, because there's supposed to be a government for everybody. I'm sitting here and I'll give you this assurance. The APNU will be a government for all citizens. The APNU will be a government for every citizen. When you become the government, you're supposed to be a national government. When you're campaigning, you're supposed to look to where your support is likely to come from and put all of your efforts there. And right now, if you look at the construct of things in this country, it is obvious that the APNU has to do work among the Afro-Guyanese community to ensure that it consolidates the largest block of vote that it can get, which is in the African Guyanese community. It has to put in the work to consolidate that vote to ensure that it has a chance of getting more votes than the PPP. That's a charity begins at home. And I'm saying, concentrate your efforts, your resources on where you are sure you're going to get the greatest returns for your investment of time and labor and everything else. And I'm saying the place to do that is among the African Guyanese community, because that is where you're expected to get your largest block of votes. That doesn't mean that you don't want your message to get to the Indo-Guyanese community. How do you get your message to the Indo-Guyanese community? There's something that they call whistle-stop meetings. There are going to be whistle-stop meetings in the Indo-Guyanese community. There are press conferences, maybe sometimes 2-3 times a week. The APNU policies are discussed in press conferences. Indo-Guyanese can listen to those press conferences and they will get the necessary information. The newscast carries information coming out of those press conferences. So the Indo-Guyanese do get information. Information which they can assess for themselves and determine whether or not they are willing to place their votes with the APNU, expecting a better quality of life for every citizen of this country. But for some people to say that you're not going into the Indian Guyanese community and campaign, and that is not right, because that is an indication that you will not be a government for all the people. That is totally wrong. Because let me tell you something, and it has been tried and tested. Even Mohammed perhaps might have had that experience. The APNU going into certain Indo-Guyanese communities will be speaking to the wind. Not because the Indo-Guyanese don't want to hear the APNU message, but because the PPP is a terrorist organization. And they get their goons to look and see all those who come out to the APNU meeting, and then they torment them. And since you don't want to live in torment, you ain't gonna come out to the meeting. You might sit on your patio, you might sit on your veranda, you might sit in your bedroom, you might stand up right behind the door and pull in the curtains at the window to hear the APNU message. But for the greater part, you in venturing on no street corner to listen to any APNU meeting. Because the fact is, when you are seen out there and it is interpreted that you're supporting the APNU, the PPP terrorists will terrorize you for the rest of your life, especially if they lose the election. Worse yet too, if they win the election. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In the 2015-2020 election, I was insistent. I said, listen, we must be able to go to any community and host a meeting so that people understand what we have to offer. And we kept a meeting at Annandale North. I insisted that we must go to Annandale North. Why did I insist we must go to Annandale North? I attended the Annandale Secondary School for a period of time, so I have, I would say, some Indian schoolmates, Indo-Guyanese schoolmates, along with others. I taught at the Annandale Secondary School for a while, and so I have some Indo-Guyanese students, among others. I function mainly on the sideline dam, a stone's throw away from Annandale, so I go over there, I do business, I have people I interact with, and so on and so forth. So I think I can carry a message to the people of Annandale. On the podium or on the platform, I basically made a point to them. I said, I'm coming to you basically like one of your own. I spent time at Annandale Secondary as a student. I spent time at Annandale Secondary as a teacher. I've walked through this community. I have friends and relations in this community. I function, or I live on the sideline dam, as I would say. We know each other. So as a matter of fact, let me tell you this. My carpenter is Logo. Logo is an Indo-Guyanese living a street away from me at Annandale. And when I came here, if I have work to do, I call Logo because he's into construction. And I get Logo and his team, that is for the greater part, Indo-Guyanese. Sometimes you might find an Afro-Guyanese there. And they have done work for me, and they continue over the years to do work for me. And I said that at the campaign. at the meeting. Within hours of that meeting completing, the PPP goons were at Logo's throat. But Logos are different Indo-Guyanese, because he can be as aggressive as the rest of them. And he tells some of them we not go chop up and what you not go do. So let nobody tell themselves they can do anything, because he gets a right to have friends. And he doesn't see a problem with me going on the podium to say, well, he is my carpenter and we have a good relationship. And he calls them out and telling them to racist and so on and so forth. And that is just an example of what the PPP does to you. But let me give you another example of how Indo-Guyanese might be willing to support you, but they don't want to deal with this terrorism on the part of the PPP. My welder was an Indo-Guyanese from Annandale. I got anything to weld, I call him. You do my work, he gets paid, we had a good relationship and so on. I mean, talking this story, they're going to be able to identify him, I guess. Sad to say, I'm going to tell this story anyhow, because I want you to get this understanding of what the PPP representing. How we know Guyanese are intimidated by the PPP. The cash grant came and they paid the cash grant. And this particular individual didn't have an ID card. Didn't have an ID card. And I'm driving home from the city today and I got a phone call. I answered the call. They always call me sir. Sir, in recognition of the fact that I taught many of them and many of the children that Annandale said. Sir, man, this cash grant to pay, man, and me get no me get ID card, and they tell me got to apply for them online if me want to get them quick. I say, okay, so where want me to feel? Man, me want know if you can help me apply for them and thing. Me say, but what I'm doing, Anil? Because Anil Nanglal is from Annandale. Me say, what I'm doing, Anil? Why didn't call Anil? The man that dog by. All of you go together, you can't get a man that will do none for you. But you think that individual gonna stand by the roadside and say such a thing about the big, powerful Anil Nandla or even the PPP? No. Because you would be afraid the next morning you might find it dead or badly beaten. You think you could have found an Indo-Guyanese youth in any of the Indo-Guyanese community to talk to Mohammed and ridicule Jack Dio and the PPP the way that young man ridiculed the coalition in Granger at the back of Buxton when Mohammed came to Buxton a few months ago? No, you would have think twice. You would have think twice because they would have terrorized you. But in Buxton, that Buxtonian youth, that African Guyanese youth, Afro-Guyanese youth, feels confident and safe enough to, as we say, run his mouth and run it loosely and know he could go in the bed and sleep and nobody ain't got time with it. Nobody has time to harm him. Nobody has time to confront him. Nobody ain't got no time to intimidate him. And that is the difference in the nature of what we're dealing with. Yes, when the Lindsay asked by Max. By Max was among them and he did talking up on the BT with baseball bat. And he went quiet. Because he knows. As a matter of fact, a video was released the other day with short stuff, threatening to destroy your life if you come after the PPP. And there's no idle threat. That is the people. Right? That long answer. That long answer. The whole discussion there is in response to the person who say, why y'all ain't going to Indo-Guyanese communities and campaign? It gives the impression that you're not going to be a government for all the people. We will be a government for all the people. Aubrey Norton has given the assurances. Let me give you some assurances that Aubrey Norton has given, and I stand by them. Not one Gaisuko worker will be dismissed. Not one 40-day worker will be dismissed. I see somebody talking here about Norton saying that he will shut down the GSL. You know what is GSL? What this idiot is talking about? The Guyanese Super League. Cricket. 2020 cricket. The Guyanese Super League. If Aubrey Norton says he will shut down the Guyanese Super League, I stand by Aubrey Norton on that. And if he didn't say it, I am saying that the Guyanese Super League should be shut down. Whose money is financing the Guyanese Super League? Whose money is financing the Guyanese Super League? If the money that finances the Guyanese Super League doesn't come from the coffers of the state, if it's a private arrangement, a private investment and everything, by all means, let it go. Let it do what it has to do. Private sector got a role to play in society. But if the Guyanese Super League is funded by Guyanese money from the Consolidated Fund, from the Lotto Fund, or wherever in the government the money is coming from, it should be shut down, because that money can go towards the improvement of the lives of the citizens of this country, either through health, either through education, either through more social services, either more infrastructure development. That money can contribute to a better quality of life for Guyanese citizens. And from where I sit, my little understanding suggests that the money that funds the Guyanese Super League comes out of the coffers of this country and is a way of siphoning off, is a way of stealing the nation's resources. It is also a way, perhaps, of money laundering. And so, yes, like I said, if it's not a private enterprise, I would shut it down without the blink of an eye and divert that money to do other things that will benefit the citizens of this country in a more positive way. Okay, Mike Sankar, these empty-headed comments that you come and make, and you and Sahadi and y'all come and make, y'all don't contribute anything to these discourses. Running Guyana into the ground is a speciality of the PPP. Despite being the fastest growing, richest economy in the world, perhaps right now, besides having that title, maybe 1% of the Guyanese people are feeling the impact of the oil repump. The rest are living in poverty or near to poverty. The society is a lawless one. Social services are near non-existent. The healthcare sector, despite all the investments in the healthcare sector, or I should say in healthcare assets, in terms of buildings, is in tatters, because the fancy buildings, the modern buildings, whatever you want to call them, do not have the requisite personnel to deliver services to the people. The coalition, the Granger coalition, let me make the differentiation, in government was able to ensure that for the first time in the history of this country, several Amerindian communities had access to piped water. Wells were dug in their communities. They had piped water. On the coastland, for the first time perhaps, or second time perhaps, because I want to believe it happened previously. But the first time in the near past, homeowners were able to get water piped to their first floor without the use of an electrical pump, or without the help of an electrical pump. They had access to water in many instances 24/7. The quality of the water had improved exponentially. Electricity supply had become a constant. There was a marked reduction in power outages. All of those things were achieved under a coalition government led by Granger. 5 years approximately after the Granger government, Guyanese still can expect daily blackouts. Guyanese still are complaining about the poor quality of water through their pipelines. Guyanese still cannot get water to their first floors without the help of a pump. Guyanese are dying for simple things as access to oxygen in a modern hospital. Under the Granger administration, the coalition administration, every health center across this country was, I wouldn't say optimally staffed, but adequately staffed. Medication was available. Support services was available. And they say, we like to say, the coalition didn't have oil money. But it is the reality. All of those things were achieved without access to oil money, the kind of largesse that the PPP now controls. And so, I can't say I shudder to think. I'm tremendously enthusiastic about what a new coalition government will be able to do for the Guyanese people with that kind of resource, assuming that when the PPP leaves office, something will be left behind. And that is the reality. And if Satchel Wu and whoever else cannot accept that as a basic fact, they ain't got no right on these discourses, because they got to be empty-headed. And I don't like talking to empty-headed people. If you can challenge me with your intellect. Don't try to baffle me with bullshit. Norton has assured that within the first 100 days of taking government, public servants can look forward to an increase in their wages and salaries not exceeding 35%. Not exceeding 35%. Norton has assured that after taking government, persons who are attending the University of Guyana, I can't say all the educational institutions because I can't remember him saying that, but he says if you're a University of Guyana student, you're going to get a stipend, a monthly stipend, totaling $600,000 a year, more than $500,000 a year. A student grant, a student stipend, whatever you call it, to help you to go through the university smoothly. $600,000 a year. He's assured that students, the primary school, will get, that figure is beating me. But I want to believe it's about 1.2, no, I don't think it's 1.2, perhaps about $1.2 million a year. There are assurances out there from the Norton campaign, from the Norton team, from the government in waiting, that Guyanese are not going to lose any of the benefits that they currently are getting from the PPP by way of bribe. And note I say by way of bribe, because hear me, all of the benefits that the PPP claims that they're giving to Guyanese were only announced a month or two ago because it's an electoral season. Because it is an electoral season. And there's no guarantee that the PPP will continue to deliver any of those quote-unquote benefits which they started delivering a month or two ago after the election. There's no guarantee. The $100,000 cash grant, for example, was a one-off payment. The Norton administration is saying that once in government, cash grant is going to be a thing, a policy of the government, backed by law. You ain't got to wait to see when Norton gonna wake up and feel like I could get them a cash grant as a vote buying scheme. It is going to be provided for in the policies of the coalition. The WPA has been championing for several years now direct cash transfer of approximately $5,000 per household. You think we are going to go into government with the APNU and don't continue to fight for that to be a reality? Some teachers are concerned by hearsay. Sometimes you have to listen to hearsay through the grapevine. Teachers are concerned that the PPP has started to introduce into the school smart classrooms, smart boards, and so on, making their life easier. They've started to give to the schools a grant, a classroom grant, so teachers don't have to dig too deep again in their pockets to provide teaching aids and so on for their students in classrooms. Teachers are concerned about whether or not the coalition will be able to upkeep that. Well, let me give you news. Let me say this to you. If the PPP can do it with all of the corruption that goes on in this country under the PPP, the coalition can do it. Because part of the mantra of the coalition is to reduce corruption and wastage. And so they will have more of that resource to put in the right direction. So once it was started by the PPP, the coalition can and will continue it with justification. Right? That's number one. Number two, don't be fooled and believe that it is the PPP that started smart classrooms. The PPP did not start smart classrooms in this country. Smart classrooms were started by the coalition government. I remember interacting with the first smart board at Ancestral when it was launched under the coalition. And this is what they did at that time. They twinned interior schools with coastland schools. Can you remember that? And the smart classrooms were intended to be used in such a way to ensure that those students in the interior got the same quality of instruction and delivery of education that those on the coastlands were getting. It was a coalition that did tremendous work in the interior region to establish what I would call the internet links, connectivity, and the importance of the connectivity was to ensure that they could have access to smart classrooms, among other things. Internet access. So that they could have gotten the same kind of exposure like people on the coastland have been getting. So don't let the PPP come and tell you, we are doing great for this country. We have introduced smart classrooms. Smart classrooms were there since the coalition time, and it's a freaking failure of the PPP that most schools do not have smart classrooms as of today, because they went into office and they met it. All they had to do was to expand on that policy. So the teachers were concerned about, oh God, they might take away the classroom grant. No, sweethearts. If they got anything black man pride itself on, is education. Black man pride itself on education. And the coalition government, without beyond the shadow of a doubt, is going to invest in education. The WPA and Professor David Hines always talk about there being a crisis in education. And we are going to declare an emergency in education so that we can take the necessary steps to fix it. So teachers are going to be treated the way they should be treated, like kings and queens. They're going to get their just due. Vincent Jordan is telling us this again. The Because We Care grant was a one-off grant introduced in 2014 to distract from the sagging fortunes of the administration that had prorogued Parliament and had refused to hold local government elections. But of course, why not cry wolf? Why not cry wolf? So don't let us, I would say, concern ourselves unnecessarily about what the Norton administration can take away. Focus on what the Norton administration is saying they're going to do and give. Look at the policies. You're going to see the manifesto eventually. But these, I like to give you snippets coming out of the manifesto. And I just always say, I hope the Norton, Team Norton and the AP, and you don't get pissed at me for quote unquote letting cat out of bag and some. But I believe these are things that people need to know because it's close to the election. I think I say 34 days. And a lot of people are out there talking bull. Sometimes not because they want to talk bull, but they have not had access to information. And they don't know better. And I'm tremendously happy again. I'm saying that I joined that discourse last night. I'm a 10 o'clock man. 10 o'clock I just be in my bed. In case you didn't know, you know now. I'm not a rumor. But last night I left that meeting from the backlist. And I came and I joined that discourse on TikTok. Because first somebody called me and I was in the backlist and somebody called me out of the blue. Somebody I don't even know, I don't have as a contact, and they say, Mr. Amsterdam, we have a panel on TikTok and we would like if Dr. Hines or Mr. Norton can join us to discuss certain issues. And my response to them, they say, well, can you join? Say, well, I'm at a meeting, I can join after. Ian Adams, you need to check your device if you don't have a sound. Right? As I came in and I braved it, and I sat with those folks on that panel until about 12:15 last night or this morning. And they bombarded me left, right, center, upside down, all around with questions and answers and their opinions and so on. And I'm happy that I could have engaged with them. I wasn't, what should I say, contiguous group, wasn't a homogeneous group. It wasn't a group of APNs supporters. It was a mixed bag. We even had the blue in there. It was blue, it was red, it was green, it was yellow, it was purple. It was a good representation of Ghana and the political scenario. We didn't curse one another. We engaged each other. I'm saying again, like I said to them, and I'm saying it again. If you want to see the backs of the PPP, the only place you got a right to put your vote is to the coalition. Because I've explained the scenarios of how you get the government. Then I know after the fact coming together to get no government. You can have an after the fact situation to control the parliament. Is that what you want to do? You want to control the parliament? I want to do more than control the parliament. I want to control the government. I also want to have a majority in the parliament so that those forward-thinking policies that we have will not be humbugged by the PPP and their cohorts. So again, if you want a government that will serve your purpose, serve your interests, and not be threatened by another no confidence motion out of gluttony and selfishness, you have to ensure you vote resoundingly for the APNU so the majority of victory is big enough to protect them from a no confidence motion. One seat majority can work. 2, 3, 4, 5 seats majority will give your government freedom to function for your benefit. Shut the PPP out. It should be a total shout out for them. So what by? All you do? May you support the coalition like me? Very good. Very good choice. Because the coalition putting people first. But let me ask you something. You check for your name on the list yet? Well, partner, you got to check for your name on the list and show you there. So you go put the vote next to the palm come the 1st of September. Let me show you how to check them. In a hard, man. You just got to go up on GCOM website. When you go up on GCOM website, you go see this thingy. You see them? That GCOM website. You just got to scroll up or scroll down, whichever one you want to call them, but you try to go bottom of the page. And you see this red and white writing here, resource hub, click Panda. Once you click Panda, you will see general and regional election for September 2025. Scroll up again. And then right on your left hand side, you see query tool. Watch me click Panam and it turn blue there. Click Panam. Good. Now you read the page there. They ask you online. They tell you about online tools, query your registration status. All them say check to see if your name there. You can put in your ID number and you can search by ID number. But me, I want to give you my ID number because not for you too fast. Now what my ID number? Me go search by my first name, my last name, and my date of birth. So me put in Kidaki Amsterdam. Me put in my first name Kidaki Amsterdam. Me put in my last name. Right? And then me go put in my date of birth. But again, I don't want to mind my business. But me go put in my date of birth. But are you watch me face good and proper? Me, I want coalition supporter because the coalition is putting people first. Right? When we don't put in my date of birth and you don't put in you want to, click on search by particulars. When you click on search by particulars, this is how will come up. You see revised list of electors and so on. We watch your name there right there. Me name there right there. When you scroll down, me name there right there. Occupation, teacher name, Amsterdam, Kidaki. Address, 9 section C, Buxton. District 4, Demerara, Mahaika. Division 421-127C. Buxton Village, Friendship Village, south of the railway line. I tell you, man. No one background side, man. And me stay strong, me as support the Arby Norton for president and director of finance for prime minister coalition, the APNU coalition. Because they got policies that are people-centered. They're putting people first. So when September 1st come and you go in the booth, Now whether all of them just come, Johnny come lately, and all of them will tell you stupidness. Put your X next to the palm. Palm them out. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you what the palm look like when you put your X next to. In case you don't know. What's the palm there? Put your X next to the palm and vote strong for the APNU coalition. Because we put in people first, and when you vote for we're going to ensure, you vote going to ensure that we get rid of the nasty, dirty, stinking, thieving PPP party and give you the best opportunity in this country that you ever had. So vote APNU. But before you vote APNU, remember you have to check to ensure that you're named upon the list. So go GCOM website. Go check them. Okay? Megan, I left for you. But spread the word. Spread the word. Tell everybody how to check for their name and tell everybody to vote for APNU. Morning, are you morning?
Buxton, Guyana, it's here again. The Black is Beautiful Cultural Evening. This July 31st, Buxton Line Top, featuring Mark Buxton, Divine Stars, Brian Chester, Eyes of the Ancestors on the drums, Buxton Fusion, and the indomitable Yoruba singers. Lots of songs, poetry, dancing, story, dance, and lots more cultural entertainment. Come out. Buxton Line Top, this July 31st. It is the annual 1st of August movement and friends. Black is beautiful. Evening of cultural entertainment. Calling all seniors. Calling.
Morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of GUYANESE Morning Time. It is 21 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. How you been? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How you feeling this morning? Oh yeah, I like my little educational video about how to find your name on the list. Go by GCOM website and check it out and so. I see somebody rolling with laughter. What funny? And Marvin McPherson, what funny? Let me tell you something. I also see they got already man in Krasie named Ramgoat or something like that, talking a bundle of foolishness. Listen, if you don't stop, all I'm going to do is block you because you're bringing nothing to this conversation this morning. And I know they send you to try to be a distraction because the heat in the kitchen is too darn hot for them. It's upsetting the status quo. So, Ramgoat, trust me, you ain't coming for distract me this morning. I do upon meditation. I stay focused, you know, I'm big, but I ain't stupid. Right? There got some things I could tell you about. One of my regular viewers said, Mr. Amsterdam, you must be a badly on the live. There got people who are not Guyanese that is listening to you every day, and they are my in-laws, and so I don't want them to think bad of us. So I'm restrained from behaving bad. Right, Ramgoat? Good. So what are we talking about this morning? We have a lot of things to talk about. And those things include Audriana Thomas. I'm supposed to have Audriana Thomas on the program this morning to talk to us about some land issues. Right? Some land issues. Black man in this country always get land issues when the PPP in government. When it's not Lincoln Lewis, remember they were trying to take away a whole set of land from Lincoln Lewis? That Lincoln Lewis' great-grandfather, I think, Kojo McPherson, left for his next generation. Yeah, these people got land, man. They don't like seed land. Since the sea land, they're big. Like how the friend of the bar, Jagios, was trying to take away the co-op land from the people at Haslington, North Haslington there. Once they see land, they tell themselves they must get it. The only piece of land any of us is guaranteed is the 6 feet by 3 feet or wherever they just dig you hole in. Good? I mean, we can't build our homes in the sky. At least not most of us. Because Elon Musk might tell you could do them. But the reality is, I must see people things and leave it alone. Our ancestors moved millions of tons of earth or dirt to humanize these parts of the world. But you can't enjoy nothing. Yeah, is everything I want. Anyhow. Clyde say he is thankful for the information about. I tell you something. Sometimes they say don't blow your own horn, but I truly believe in servant leadership, and I take my cues from the ordinary man and woman. I was on TikTok again last night at past 12 o'clock, and in the conversation there, somebody asked the question, "But how do I find my name on the list of electors?" And if I gotta go to the polling place and check, I said, "No man, check right on GCON website." And they say, "Mr. Amsterdam, I check on GCON website. You think anybody ever search you all of that?" I searched it, I fed up, and I just left it alone. But like I say, experience teaches wisdom. Some people say age is not necessary, experience too. But I remember in the last election, or last 2 elections, I don't know, man. Sometimes I think I'm built for this thing. Right? I woke up one day and I say, you know what? I'm going to start an information desk on the Milwaukee line top in front by Cherry Blair there. And I set up, where did I get internet from? I can't remember if it was Cherry really back for internet. But I set up an information desk there and I start encouraging people. These people in that time and place, man, y'all just get me dread. You know, they're on my program, man. Anyhow. Yeah. And so I started to provide that service out there, and congratulations. Big up yourself to a lot of people who recognize the importance of that. And they joined me, and we used to provide almost a 24/7 service out there in those elections to advise people as where they need to vote and where the names appear and so on and so forth. I think it was very good. And so this year we're doing it again. I think starting this week, you're going to have that information desk on the Buxton line top there. Right. But as this thing came up last night in this discourse, I said, no, you don't have to go through that tedious thing of searching through that entire list. There used to be a query that you can just, something that you can just put in your name and information and search and you get it. It took me a while to find it, but I found it and I said, you know what? I am sure there are many other people who got the same challenge. And I got away sleeping with things on my mind. And so I got up this morning and said, let's do this quick video. And I found what some might call my comical self. And I got it there. So enjoy. And please share it widely. Please share it widely. If there's anybody who wants to get it by WhatsApp, just indicate to me. And I'll try to send it to you by WhatsApp so you can share it around. But I'm also saying if GCOM dares to use it, they got to pay for it. Good. That's my intellectual property, not for GCOM to use. GCOM pays left, right, and center, their friends and cronies and so on to do advertisement in the name of voter education. They never ask me nothing. Right? I got skills like that to happen. So if you are going to use my thing, GCOM are talking to. If you are going to use my thing, ensure you pay for it. Good. Because we're going to end up in court. Nevertheless, it's Wednesday morning. And like I said, I'm expecting Adriana for us to talk about some land issues and so on. All right, Denise, must send me a WhatsApp so I can remember to send it to you by WhatsApp. Yeah. Land is definitely always an issue in this country, more so when the PPP is in power. Land is on the ballot of this election. It has been on the ballot of every election. The consistent cry is that people have applied for eons for land, and they have not been getting land. Even if they get an allocation letter, some of them have never seen the land that they were allocated. Some of them never saw the land that they were allocated. There's some people who were saying that they will not vote for the coalition because they applied for land when the coalition was in power and they didn't get it. And the PPP gave them land when the PPP came into power, came into office. I think you need to enter the studio. I see your devices are not connected. Good. Right? Who, me? I get me a slot under the PPP. And I applied in 2011 and the coalition was in office and they give me no land. Come on. Yeah, you're real. 2011 you applied and the coalition was out of office by 2020. There's a 9-year period. Go and check. They got some people who applied for land 30 years. And the PPP has been in government for 23 or so, 28 or so of those years. 23 of those years, I think, perhaps. And they ain't got land yet. Sometimes we demand too much in too short a time. Sometimes we are too impatient. And that impatience causes us to make irrational decisions. And I can tell you about that because, like I said, experience teaches wisdom. I have made a lot of irrational decisions because of my impatience. And I'm talking when I was a much younger man. I want it now and I gotta get it now. And if I can't get it now, even if I start it, I could just left it and move on to something else. And that attitude has cost me resources. And that attitude has cost this nation, many of us in this nation, citizens, the opportunity for a better life. Sometimes we have to be patient. As I like to say, you have to watch with us one more day, one more night. Because that person who said they applied for land in 2011 and didn't get it under the coalition, who knows? Under the coalition from a 2020-2025 government, you might not have only gotten land, but you would have gotten a well-built up, well-laid out land, or land in a well-built up, well-laid out community. You might have also gotten other housing solutions. But hey, I get land under the PPP, and so I can vote for the PPP. So you got land under the PPP. For how long? Have you been able to construct a home since you got this land from the PPP? How many of us have been able to construct homes since we get these waterlogged lands and so on? Talk to me. Many people got a document, say they got a piece of land, but they ain't got no empowerment because they can't build on it. When the truckers watch the road, the state of the road or the state of the infrastructure that they got to carry stuff down the back for you, they either tell you they ain't going there or they charge you a jewel and a crown. So you self you want to go there no more. Sometimes you have to take a step back, assess the real situation, and then decide how we're moving forward. Can't be hasty, can't be impatient. We can't be unforgiving. Because when we are unforgiving and we start digging holes, for those in the coalition, we dig enough holes, you know. We digging holes for ourselves and family and next generation because we're not giving this new construct of the coalition, the APNU, the opportunity to really deliver what it says it will deliver to you. Good. But I tell you already, be ambassadors to the APNU, spread the word, spread the message. I know I have this infomercial, this edutainment video. Share it around so everybody gets educated. Somebody else is saying, show them how to vote. Right? Show them how to put that little sexy X in the box. Maybe I gotta wait for another day when I get up in the mood. Good? But the reality is, we got work to do, and we have to continue to do that work. And that work, I did say, you see, somebody just messaged me, I followed your instructions and got it in a minute. Look at that. That's the teaching me. Oh God, you want me at the Ministry of Education, no? Yeah, wrong. Me want to go there. Yeah, want me talk where I want to be in government and why I want to be in government. They say you can't always tell people everything. But wherever the WPA decides that I will be of good service, I will go and I'll give it my best shot. But if I were to choose, I personally would rather be at the Ministry of Labor. I want to be at the Ministry of Labor bad, you know. I know y'all didn't see me as a labor person, but I believe a lot of the injustices that are meted out to citizens in this country, especially in the public and private sector, as employees, can be fixed right from the Ministry of Labor. If only the Minister of Labor is intent on being fair to the citizens of Ghana. Forget the politics. Forget party politics. Look at delivering services to your people. Right? The Ministry of Labor currently and under the PPP has been a cesspool. Cesspool. I dare say that a lot of what takes place there is corruption. Serious corruption too. Labor officers not doing their job as they're supposed to. Labor officers taking political instructions. And so the working class can't get no justice. Well, hey, I pray the day the APNU wins the election September 1st and they say, Mr. Amsterdam, you make a pick. Which ministry you want? Me telling me I go labor. Because our workers deserve an easy time in this country. Why expatriates must come here and get the best of everything? And when I say the best of everything, I mean the best of everything. You know, there are mining companies in this country where the expats have to eat before the locals. The locals dare not go into the lunchroom at the same time with or before the expats. There's a serious form of apartheid taking place in this country. Jeremy ain't got no second choice. I don't look after seconds. I want the Ministry of Labor. Like I said, my second choice is wherever the WP and the coalition believes that I can serve them best, right? But I pray to God, y'all don't understand this thing. I want to be at Ministry of Labor. If I become the Labor Minister, Guyanese will get justice for the labor. And there are other things which will be fixed too, but it's like I say, I can't tell you everything. You gotta hold some cards to your chest, right? Why you got expats coming to your country and earning, for example, let me say $500 a day, and the compatriots, the locals can't get $500 a day? Is discrimination in labor? If I'm bringing the same skill and the same experience, not because you lighter in color than me, you must be paid twice as much as I'm paid. And the Ministry of Labor has the authority by the Labor Act. The labor officers got the authority to fix all of those injustices. But these crabs and criminals, they turn up at these, what do you say, foreign investors' place, and they're greeted nicely and they get warm warm soup, and they believe, hey, we forget them locals, by they can't give you this kind of. Well, last I had some lentil soup. No man, we gotta fix that crap, right? But we gotta fix this land grabbing that the PPP depot and so on, and the discrimination and disrespect for people in their ancestral lands and all of that. So we have Sister Adriana Thomas in there. So Adriana, good morning. How you doing, girl? Welcome to the program.
Kadaki, good morning. I apologize for being on the program late. I had some technical difficulties. And but Kadaki, thank you for having me on the program. And I'm doing very well, thank you. Good morning to your viewers.
Well, I'm happy to have you on the program. I understand you're getting some land troubles. I know for quite a while you've been getting some land troubles. As I would say, your inheritance, your ancestral lands. I think that matter perhaps went before the court and so on. And now you are at another stage. So tell us what's happening with you and the land and what the family is doing about it. And so, if you will.
Okay, so I'd like to address three areas. One is as a result of this has been 30 years, Kadaki, of us going through all sorts of court matters. And personally, I've been sort of leading this process for my family. And I've learned a lot over those past 30 years. And I sent you that flyer. I'd now like to start a land support group. And we can talk about that a little later because many families are going through what our family is going through. But fortunately, my family has me and others. But other families may not have anybody to represent them. And so I would like to put a team together, a group of like-minded people who can provide representation to people who are experiencing land issues, particularly with the government, but even your own private land issues. Currently, the government is running roads and gas energy power lines through private lands. And so this group, we can call me, right? I've sent Kadaki a flyer. Call me, it's free. And if the government is doing consultations, we would like to represent your community. If at those consultations meetings, I'm hoping that we can start distributing some flyers, for example, on what the law says as it relates to how many feet is required for a 4-lane road, for a 2-lane road, for example, something like the energy power line. And because I know the Attorney General has been having consultations with people and telling them to get a valuation officer and to get a valuator, and a lawyer. This is as it relates to the energy power lines. But if the government is running the energy power lines, they don't need acres upon acres of land for that. They need acres of land in terms of length, but not in terms of depth. So why is the government telling landowners to get valuators and lawyers for acres upon acres of land. So this group, I hope, will provide support to landowners, and I hope that we'll be able to clarify issues that you may have. The other aspect is that you see the Land Acquisition for Public Land Acquisition Act for public purposes. This is the act to acquire private land for public purposes. It specifically states that the government has to state or indicate what is the purpose for which they want to acquire private lands. So what the government is doing, they are using the opportunity of the gas, the energy power lines, running the gas, the energy power lines, and running these new roads to essentially, I would say, grab land and acquire land for private land. So residents and landowners have to be aware of their rights. And so if there's a road running through your area, if there is a gas, the energy power line running through your area, call me. And I call us. I'm hoping to put a team together, like I said, so that we can obtain those consultations and ask the Attorney General some pertinent questions. I attend those meetings to ensure that the government does not grab your land by using the purpose for which they want to do it as running new roads through your communities and this gas, the energy power lines. The other aspect is that because the act does not allow the government necessarily to just come and take the land. They must have a purpose. But if they're running a road and the gas, the energy power lines, they don't need 20 acres of land in depth to do that. The other thing is that the government is doing, I met the president yesterday, he was in Coverdon, and I thank him for the drainage and the roads in Coverdon, but I also said that we have an issue with the amount of feet that the government is asking for, or the amount of land, that the government is asking for. And when they're running this new road, they're running a new public road in our backlands. And I think the government is asking, the president said yesterday, 400 feet. I'm not sure if it's 400 feet in total, or if it's 400 feet on each side of the road. Those are things we need clarity on. In addition to that, we want to ensure that the government gets only the amount of land that is required for a 4-lane highway, a 2-lane road, the gas, the energy power lines, and they do not use this as an opportunity to grab people's lands. So that's something we need to work on. As a matter of fact, Kadaki, we need to put land on the ballot for these elections. We have to put land and land ownership on the ballot because this government has a particular behavior or propensity, if I can put it this way, as it relates to land. In relation to, Kadaki, can I go on? Kadaki?
Definitely you can go on. That's why you're here.
Thank you. So in relation to my family land matters, there are two issues. One with Lot 18. We've been going through, in 1995, well, the land has been family land. We have owned those lands since in the 1840s. And nobody in my family, not many people in my family got individual titles over all of these years, almost 200 years. There are a few persons who would have gotten titles. So the transports are still, or the documents of ownership, as in letter of decree, they're still in the 1800s, from the 1800s. So we have, so in 1995, a relative sold a house he could not sell the land because it was family land. So he sold the house to the people from the prairie, which is the Karen Waldron, who is her mother is Joyce Mike Tuksong. And I hope it's not this is Mark Waldron's sister, the lawyer. And so in 1996, they went to the court to get title for that land. My father and his brother and a cousin, they opposed. And Justice Brooms at the time, who was the land court, the commissioner of title for the land court, Justice Brooms asked them, told them to withdraw their petition for title. And he even said, don't ever come back into this court again requesting title, because he knew that they were trying to grab our land. So that was in 1996. After that, we filed a writ of possession. And then we had a protest in somewhere around the 2000s. And they filed an injunction against me, restraining me and my family from going on the land. So, and Justice Moore at the time granted that injunction. And I'll tell you this, I can say this because Justice Ramlal is now dead. I met Justice Ramlal on the corridor of the High Court, the corridors of the High Court one day, and he said to me, Adriana, Justice Moore should not have granted that injunction because y'all are the title holders. And he granted the injunction to them to restrain y'all from going on the land, even though y'all are the title holders. And that injunction, Kadaki, was a mandatory injunction, not an interim injunction. An interim injunction means that it lasts for a period of time, maybe a year. But a mandatory injunction means that the injunction holds until the hearing and determination of the matter. This matter languished for maybe 20 years or so. And so the hearing and determination kept going on. Within that period, whenever we went on the land, while the injunction was there, they would chase us off of the land. You know how many times the police came, they would call the police to put us off of the land. My father got charged for going on that land, for trespassing. When my father went to the Providence Magistrates Court, it was Magistrate Ramlal then, he wasn't a judge yet. And the Joyce Moituksong, who is Karen Waldron's mother, she said that the house is theirs. So Justice Magistrate Ramlal said, the house is yours, but the land is not yours. So you don't build house in the sky, you build house on land. So remove your house off of the people's land. And he said, Mr. Thomas, go. So that was years ago that all of that happened. That was the first time my father was ever charged for anything. When my father got married, my parents were living on that land. My older siblings grew up on that land. And that land is my father's grandmother. Father is the title holder, was the title holder. And he got charged for trespassing on his own family land. And so I'm just sharing with you all of the different things we went through, right? I got an injunction against me and all of that. So they used the period of the injunction to apply for title for the land. So they got a transport in 2019. And we applied to the court for the court to rescind that transport. And that matter was before Justice Harnanan. And Justice Harnanan gave his ruling last Friday that we did not provide sufficient evidence to prove that the transport that they got the transport by fraud. This is Karen Waldron. This was shocking. What did Justice Harnanan also said? But you see, the approach that we used was based on all of the previous cases that we would have had before. So we said that had they didn't reveal that there were all of these previous cases before, and as a result, we brought the case of fraud, that the transport was they got the transport by fraud. Justice Harnanan ruled that we did not provide sufficient evidence that they got the transport by fraud, and that we did not, this was interesting also, we did not do enough to prevent them from having continuous occupation. So when I told my relatives said that, so the judge expected us to be violent, because the only thing we didn't do was to be violent over those 30 years. I've written to the crime chief since when it was Mr. Trim. I've went to Mr. Henry Green when he was the head of the, I think the head of the B division at Breakdown or A division. When the police used to be locking up from Timeri, used to be locking up my family for going on the land. And I say, Commissioner, I say, Mr. Green, please tell the police at the police station in Timeri to stop locking up my family for going on their lands. We did everything except be violent. And the judge said in his ruling on Friday that we did not do enough to prevent them from continuous occupation. So
what did he expect you to do if there is, for example, if the court has granted an injunction? Should you disregard the injunction and keep getting locked up and charged and what will you call it, for disrespecting the court and so on, or like you said, be violent? What did he expect you to?
So I think in fairness to Justice Harnanan, we did not put as a part of our main case the fact that because we thought that all of the other matters were sufficient to prove that if they had revealed that there were all of these matters before the court might not have granted the title, the prescriptive title or the transport. So what we will now do, we will appeal the matter. And in our appeal, the grounds for appeal will be one, that they got this transport during the period when there was this injunction, which lasted forever. And then the other thing that they did, and this one is interesting, and Kadaki, I'll tell you this, and this is where my faith comes in. Justice Harnanan was not the final judge for us. God is the final judge. And the Bible said the truth shall set you free. So they spent 30 years trying to get a transport for a land 17 and 18 covered in. But there's no land that covered in by the description of 17 and 18, but 17 and 18 as one lot. There's a 17 and we have a transport for 17. 17 is where I grew up. That's my parents' land. And we have a transport for that land. Lot 18 is the land where they were on, and that's my great-great-grandfather. It was the title holder, and we have a separate transport for that land. So what they did for 30 years, they pursued a transport for 1718. So even though Justice Harnanan ruled that we could not find sufficient, but we did not produce sufficient evidence to prove fraud, the transport of itself that they have, the description of the transport is incorrect. So if this land was really theirs, how come they got a transport that is incorrect? So their transport includes lot 17, which is my parents' land that we have a transport for. It includes lot 18, which is in the name of my great-great-grandfather, which is family land, and we have a transport for that. And it also includes the drainage trench in the middle. Their transport puts the drainage trench between lot 16 and 17, not where it is physically. So it's as if they wanted a transport for the High Court, but they also got a transport for the Mayor, City Council, and Charlotte Street in the middle. So when we now go to the Court of Appeal, we'll also go to the Court of Appeal to say that this transport that they have, so there are 3 transports now. So we have a transport for 17, we have a transport for 18, and their transport for this created description, which is 1718. So we will now, that's another ground for appeal, in that they have a transport with 2 other transports, 2 other lands, which and the drainage trench in between. So so that's the case with that. And I was disappointed with Justice Harnanan's decision, because it was after 30 years to go to the court to hear that you did not do enough. And the only thing we did not do was to do something violent. And but we're going to go to the Court of Appeal. So that's in regards to that matter. There is another matter at lot 13. And this is interesting also. And I want to come back to say that lot 18 matter, if somebody has a transport, if they have a transport for 1718, we have a transport for lot 17, we have a transport for lot 18. How is it that this is your land and you don't know the description of your land? That is fraud. It's a clear case of fraud, because there are 3 transports for this land. So The other
Adriana,
matter,
let me jump in here and interrupt you a little. What I'm hearing is that they don't have ownership to the lands that you have ownership to, because the descriptions of the on the transport that they have does not correlate with the lands that you have transports for. So
well,
the court, the state, the lands and lands commission, they will have to sort that out and find the land that they give transport for. That's my position.
that is our position too. And Kadaki, that is where the God comes in. Now, we were discussing this thing over the weekend, and we were saying, look at our God. Our God knew 30 years ago, and you see, when the Bible says the truth shall set you free, 30 years ago, God knew that Justice Hernandez was going to rule against us, so to speak. And so what God did, he allowed them to pursue a land 1718 and for a non-existent portion of land 1718. So that after Justice Hernandez's decision, God's judgment gave his decision, or God's decision was always there, that our transport for lot 17, for lot 18, right, are the correct transports, and their transport for 1718 is for a non-existent piece of land. And I don't see the court really telling us that our transports are invalid, throw away our transports so that their transport can be of effect. So you're absolutely right. So I want to say to people that sometimes you're going through things, but you just know that God said, the Bible says the truth shall set you free. And in this case, this is our testimony. After 30 years of fighting and the court ruling against us, God came through for us. So we got 2 valid transports for our 2 properties. In addition to that, my relatives were paying rates and taxes for the entire land at lot 18, which is because it's one transport, and we continue to treat it as one transport. We are paying rates and taxes for my parents' land at lot 17, and they are paying rates and taxes for the portion on lot 18 that they claim that is theirs. So it's like somebody moved into your backyard, take a piece of land and say, this is mine and I'm paying rates and taxes for it. So it is that ridiculous. But to God be the glory, great things he's done. We got the transports for the land, and that is our position. So even though we would appeal the matter for this transport that is existing to be rescinded, but we wouldn't be appealing because we do not have valid titles to the lands. You follow?
You see, I'm not a legal person. I like to have people from Buxtonian side, and a lot of times when certain things are discussed, all I just do is see the ignorant and aggressive part of me. You have transport for your land.
Absolutely.
I think what you should be doing is occupying your land. I think what you should be doing is not appealing that ruling, but challenging the injunction. How can you stop me from occupying what belongs to me? I have evidence that it belongs to me.
Well, I think that we were waiting for that injunction to be heard. So I think that we've passed that stage now, because there is a new matter now, which is this matter here, right? And as far as we're concerned, we have and I know that what they're going to do is just what they were doing for all the years. They're going to call the police. And so when the police comes, we will show the police the 3 transports, and we would ask the police to tell us which one of these transports is the correct one. And the police can't determine that. That has to be determined in court. And I would like for the court to tell us that our transports with the correct description from for the land that we have owned for 100 and something years, that those transports are not correct, right? My parents' transports is, even though it was family land, they got that recent, but they got it before they got their transport. So it was a clear case. You see, Kadaki, people see us, we have all this land, but people see us as peasants. And, I usually say that Black people are up against the PPP and they're up against the Black bourgeois. In this case, this is the Black bourgeois. And so we're up against, we peasants, this was up against the Black bourgeois. And so that is that one. The other matter, this one here, is also another interesting matter. So some of the lands that my great-great-grandfather left, he had transports for them, he stated in his will, and some he had letters of decree. Letters of decree was another form of ownership that was issued by the British government, or another form of land ownership that was issued by the British government. And so we so this piece of land at lot 13, my great-great-grandfather had a letter of decree for the land. Now, people are saying that if you go and you look in the property register and the deeds registry, you wouldn't find a transport for that piece of land because there was a letter of decree. The executors for our estate should have or could have updated the title to maybe a transport, yes, to transport. But it doesn't mean that the previous letter of decree is not valid. So what has happened in that case is where, and this is where my neighbor sold a portion of land to one, I'm calling names because these names are in public documents, Deolal Puran, known as Devu. So Deolal Puran bought a portion of land from my neighbor, but my neighbor could not have sold Deolal Puran our land. They had no legal authority for that. The only legal authority they had was to sell him land that was in their transport. So what has happened with that matter now is that where Deolal Puran has now leased the land, our land, to an international company, a UK company called MySem, Guyana International. They're at Bel-Air Street, Lamahar Gardens. So that's the photographs I've sent you where I was protesting. So the company now leased the land from Puran. So Mr. Puran really did not buy our land, but he's claiming that he bought our land. So what he's doing now, he's using this company to establish occupation so that he can apply for a proper title. But Mr. Puran lives still on the East Coast. How he can come and apply for proper title? But I tell you what has happened. So what my neighbors, what they did, they amalgamated our land into their transport. Now there's no legal process to amalgamate somebody's land. It's like you have the High Court and the City Hall, and they amalgamated the City Hall into the High Court's transport and sold Mr. Puran that portion of land there. Now there's no legal process for that. And so we've had issues where we were building a fence on the land, and Inspector Harry Sewak from the Timeri police station, he came and he told us that we are trespassing on Mr. Puran's land because Mr. Puran has a transport. And all we have is a list of, is a long list of properties. That long list of properties is called a will, and it's a legal document. It's covered under Article 20 of the Constitution. So the inspector stopped us from building the fence. By the night when he stopped us from building the fence, Mr. Puran sent some people to build a fence on the land. And what they have done ever since is where, so people are saying Mr. Puran has a transport. So what I did, I went back to the court to see how Mr. Puran got this transport. Mr. Puran, so at the time when Mr. Puran got this transport, my neighbor who sold it to him, GRA said that they could not get the compliance because they were not the sole title holders. This is for their land, not our land. And so GRA said that for them to sell to Mr. Puran, they had to have had this title in their names. So Mr. Puran took them to court to perform the agreement of sale. By some miracle, I still would like to know, I'm challenging Justice Rishi Prasad's decision. So by some miracle, Justice Rishi Prasad granted an order for the Ghana Revenue Authority to issue the compliance to Mr. Puran. Now, Justice Prasad erred in that decision because the Ghana Revenue Authority wanted to do the right thing. They said we cannot issue the compliance because you cannot sell the property that you do not own solely. Justice Rishi Prasad gave the decision for that Mr. Puran's, for GRA to issue the compliance and for the transport to be passed. So this transport that they're claiming that Mr. Puran has, that's how we got the transport. But in addition to that, I don't. It's none of my business that my neighbor's transport had several persons on it. What is our business is that they amalgamated our land in that process of Mr. Puran getting the transport. So that's what concerns me. It doesn't concern me whether they had a number of persons on their transport. It concerns me that they amalgamated our land into that. So what has happened now is that Mr. Puran is, I have never seen such blatant disrespect. So the company has been, this company, MySem, if you pass now, you would see they're busy building up the land. They're building a concrete fence. They're, even though all of these land matters have not been settled. The other issue is that there was another man, I'm calling another name, Edward Wilson, who claimed that he had a transport for another portion of our land. I'm telling
Adriana,
you. Yes?
let's deal with this particular piece of land. I think you said it's 13.
Yes.
While you are, I would say, going through all of these legalities, MySim, with a fraudulent authority, I dare say, of Mr. Puran, according to what you're telling us, is about to occupy your land and shut you out. What about an injunction? What about an injunction to stop them from
that's what we're doing now. We're going to the court to get an injunction, right? So we're going to do that. But I also want to share this. The reason I'm sharing this with you is to let the public know about all of the corruption around the same portion of land. So there's another man, Edward Wilson, who had a transport for a piece of land at lot 14. And that is our land again. Now he got that transport in 2022, even though we had a transport for that land since 1890. And then he went to the court. He sold this land for $64 million to a man named Wayne Heber. In 2023, Wayne Heber went to the court and said the deeds registry made a mistake with the description on the property. The transport should really have lot 13 on it and not lot 14. The registrar of deeds, in her defense, because the registrar of deeds was the named party to the action, as well as the lands and surveyors. The registrar of deeds, in her defense, she said the deeds registry did not make a mistake on this transport. The description on the Edward Wilson's transport is correct. And so what Wayne Heber was asking the court is as if he was trying to take a shortcut for a prescriptive title. So the judge, anyway, the issue, what is interesting about that is that Deolal Puran was a named defendant in that matter when Wayne Heber was claiming the same land, and Deolal Puran did not even file a defense to tell the court that this land that Wayne Heber is claiming that he bought from Wilson, Puran bought it for $40 million. He never filed a defense, and that matter was in February, it ended. And then the person who sold Heber the land, well, not Heber, Puran the land, was also a named defendant in the matter. And that person also did not file a defense to tell the court that the land that Heber is claiming that he bought from Wilson for $64 million, they sold it to Puran for $40 million. So they didn't file a defense. We went to the court and we told the court that this land, both 13 and 14, is our land. They didn't oppose either. So that matter is coming up at 10. So so Heber and Wilson have appealed that matter. And I can say this here, that matter is a classic case. This all that I'm sharing with you is for the public to know it's a classic case of fraud. So that matter is coming up at 10 o'clock today because Edward Wilson, they've appealed. Justice Harnanan was the judge again in that matter. But that time he ruled, I would say, in our favor. Because when we produced the evidence to the court that none of this land does not belong to any of these parties, this is our land, Justice Harnanan dismissed the matter because he can't change the description of a transport from 13 to 14 because somebody sees 13 and thinks that it's vacant. So I'm going to change the description. So that matter is coming up at 10 o'clock today. That matter is being appealed in the full court in the I think before Justices Deborah Kumar Chetty and I can't remember Sherdell. I can't remember Justice Sherdell. I can't remember the other name. But I'm making it public because I'll tell you why in a minute. And
is it Justice Sherdell Isaacs?
Yes, exactly. And I'm telling you this because it's the same law firm, right? It's the Attorney General's private law firm represented Mr. Puran for this transport when Justice Rishi Prasad made this decision for the same portion of land as he's claiming. And then the Attorney General private law firm again represented Mr. Anil Nandla, represented Edward Heber, who was claiming he bought this land for $64 million. And it's the same Attorney General Anil Nandla law firm is representing Mr. Edward Wilson, who is appealing the matter today. So this law firm seems to be tied up over using in all of these matters over this one portion of land. What it
Are you suggesting that it's coercion from the office of the Attorney General? Because I'm seeing a lot of conflict of interest.
Let me tell you what I did. I wrote the head of the lands and surveys, and I copied the letter to the Attorney General, to the chairman of the NDC at Susdike. I copied it to the legal officer for the lands and surveys, and I copied it to our lawyer. The reason I copied the Attorney General is because I wanted the Attorney General to know that we're onto him and we're going on the offensive. We have our suspicions, and the Attorney General has to decide whether he wants to be an Attorney General or involved in, or supposedly, I don't want him to supposedly involved in land grabbing. But he has to make a decision because, and I am going to be very frank and blunt, and that's why I'm telling you all of this, Kadaki, because they're powerful forces. That company, MySem, they're not crazy. Mr. Puran is not crazy. There is some power that is working behind them. Because when I went to protest outside of the office at MySem last week, one of the gentlemen came to me, and apparently he's a Guyanese who is doing the coordination for the company. And he said to me, what are you doing out here, madam? And I said to him, MySem is occupying our land, and Mr. Puran is using them to occupy our land so that he can apply for proper title. So he said, that's a problem between you and Mr. Puran. I said, but y'all are on our land, and as long as you stay on our land, we can come in front of your business here and protest. And he said that if this is true, he's going to sue everybody. He said, and then he said that this company is doing work for the government, and he will call the Minister of Health. So I will now write the Minister of Health and ask them to suspend whatever projects they're doing with this company as it relates to our land, right? And so the you get in the picture. So when I so let me go on. So apparently there is an effort to use Edward Wilson's transport to get this land. After Justice Harnanan dismissed that, Mr. Puran showed up with his transport. The first time I knew he had a transport was the 28th of March this year. This was after Justice Harnanan's ruling on the 25th of February. And then and then now they're using, and then Mr. Puran's transport is also being used. So they're saying that because we had a letter of decree, right, only people who had only a transport people who have transport can get the land, something to that effect. So what we have done, we have reported Edward Wilson to the police for fraud, and the police is investigating that matter because Edward Wilson now has to say how he got a transport for our land in 2022 when we have a transport for that land since 1890 and we were in occupation. And he's never occupied. Edward Wilson doesn't even know where the land is because for years they've been coming looking for this land at lot 14 and do not know where this land is. So the other aspect of it is that they so that's Edward Wilson. If Puran is saying that he bought our land from my neighbor, so we've also reported to the police that Mr. Puran is claiming that he bought this land from our neighbor, but our neighbor didn't have any legal authority to sell him this land. So the police is also investigating that matter for fraud. So there's two. So it means that the transport that MySem is using, that Puran used to lease the land, it's under investigation at the Ghana Police Force for fraud, as well as the matter that's coming up today before in the full court that matter we've reported because Edward Wilson is the applicant. We've reported that the police is investigating that matter. Edward Wilson has even gone into the police and he's provided his evidence. And so why am I going through all of this? I'm going through all of this to, I have studied jurisprudence and rule of law. So my family, they're fortunate to have me. Legal research, and I've been doing this land research for 30 years. So I was able to go back to Justice Rishi Prasad's, the matter where Justice Rishi Prasad's granted the order for Mr. Puran to get the transport and do all of that research in order to uncover what is happening. And I'm saying, if the Attorney General is listening to me, what I did also, I wrote the British High Commissioner and I copied the letter again to the head of the Lands and Surveyors, to the Attorney General, to my lawyer, and I think, I can't remember to who else. I copied it to the company myself. And I asked the British High Commissioner, and I expect to hear from her two things. Did the British government issue letters of decree during the period of the 1890 something, when we would have had this letter of decree as a formal document for land ownership? And I expect the British High Commissioner to respond to me. I copied it to the Attorney General. So even if the Attorney General has doubts as to whether a letter of decree is a formal, was a formal title that was, or a formal document of land ownership that was issued by the then state, providing we get that response from the British High Commissioner, the Attorney General ought not to have any questions anymore, as well as the Commissioner of Lands and Surveys, if they have any questions. The other thing I requested of the British High Commission is that this company, MySem, is a UK company. And this company is involved in all of these matters here. There are all of these issues around this, but yet they're proceeding to occupy our land. I sent her the photographs of me protesting and photographs of them building on the land, developing the land. And I said the reason I protested in front of the company is to make them aware that this land has issues. So they can't now say that they're not aware. So I asked the British High Commission in that letter to examine the conduct of this company as it relates to, I said we will go to court eventually, and as you said, to get the injunction, etc. But the conduct of this company, irrespective of me going and protesting in front of the company, right? They're still moving ahead with what they're doing, and I figured that there are powerful forces behind them. And so I expect a response from the British High Commissioner to my letter. The next letter I'm going to write is to the Minister of Health, because the man said when I was protesting that he gonna call the Minister of Health, and they're doing work for the government. So I said to him, then let the government find land for y'all. Don't let you can't be doing work for the government and you are building on our land. So I would write the Minister of Health, and I would ask the Minister of Health to discontinue whatever contract they have with this company as it relates to our land. I think we were clearly underestimated. So I think that Mr. Puran and this company, they felt that once they establish a fence, because they're building a big concrete fence, and they have a lot of sand, and if you go there now, you would see a big operation when the ownership of this land is being challenged, even at the level of the police, right? So it means that they see us as peasants also, and this is an international company, coming to our country. This is a violation of natural rights. It's a violation of and I mentioned it in the letter to the British High Commissioner. It is a violation of Article 20 of the Constitution, which says that the right to an inheritance is guaranteed. So whatever law transport falls under, the Constitution, which says we have a right to an inheritance, is higher than any law. And I suspect that the Attorney General is saying that only people who have transports can claim this land. Well, I'm saying to the Attorney General now, if you haven't read Article 20 of the Constitution, go read it. And Article 20 of the Constitution says the right to an inheritance is guaranteed. And so, Kadaki, I'd like to thank you for letting me come on this program this morning, because I figured that a lot of other people, and that's the other thing. When I share these experiences, you know what people say to me? Expose them. I even called Travis and Sharon, and I asked them to come up and let's talk about it. And the people said, because this is happening to many people. I think the attorney, I saw somebody wrote a letter in the press that for the government to have the Attorney General as the sole person engaging in these consultations on land with these road projects and these the energy projects, they do not agree with that. I'd like to add my voice to that person's letter. I do not agree with it, Mr. President, either. And so yesterday when the president was in Coviden, right, I even talked with him to go to photograph with him, etc. But just a stone throw away obliquely over from where the president was, right, was where my SEM, so while the president was talking to us about all of these nice things, the president needs to investigate if the Ministry of Health is involved in this land grabbing here with our land, put a stop into it. In addition to that, if it is that the Attorney General is complicit and compromised in this land matter because his law firm is representing all of these different parties, I'm asking the president to put a stop to it. Let us investigate this. And I'm saying this because there are too many cases where the Attorney General's name is calling as it relates to land. And at some point, that has to stop. And if it means that this advocacy is where the Attorney General has to step back, this Attorney General I'm talking about, Anil Nandlal, that he has to step back and he has to say that understand that his role as an Attorney General, because he cannot be our Attorney General because his law firm is representing these people. Kadaki, let me tell you, the appeal that is coming before the court today, they did not even serve that appeal on me and our lawyers. Justice Hernandez said to them in the court, he said that the people who they brought to court, the land does not belong to them, and they took them back to court again. Justice Hernandez said in that matter, after we provided the evidence that lot 13 and 14 are our lands, Justice Hernandez said that Heber, who was the applicant, will now have to take our estate, us, to court instead of the other parties. They didn't do that. They forge ahead with an appeal that is coming up today. Did not even serve us. So our lands will be discussed in the court. And we were not even served. They named us in the appeal, but they did not serve us. They didn't serve my lawyer. They didn't serve me, who was representing my family. So they intended for this appeal to be heard without us for our land again, because they assume that we don't have transport for the land, and they're still saying that the land is Edward Wilson's land. So I'm hoping that the police will accelerate this investigation with Mr. Edward Wilson and his claims for our land. And if the DPP is going to recommend charges against him for fraud, then please hurry up and do that. With regards to my neighbor selling Puran, our portion of the land that is not a part of their transport, that matter is also with the police, and I'm hoping that the police will accelerate the investigation. Kadaki, let me also tell you this, and I wrap up on this point for you to speak. So whenever we go on this land, whether we went to do a survey, we're trying to do a survey 2 years now, but we can't do the survey because when we go, we're being threatened, right? Even my life has been threatened, right? I was threatened to, somebody threatened to hire a hitman to kill me, right? And the same people, so it's all of those matters are with the police. So I'm saying this company, international company, MySem, should be mindful of all of these issues around this land. And they should decide that, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this. at least not until all of this is settled.
I have an additional recommendation. This has to be internationalized. Picket the office of the English High Commission. That is what I would recommend. You have to, this here has to be more than local. Do you have any intention of going as far as the CCJ?
Well, no, but then if MySem continues, we can also go to the International Human Rights Court, because what MySem is doing, they're proceeding to occupy our land, even though the ownership, they're aware of all of these issues. So it's a violation of our...
Forgive me. Why the wait?
Okay, so we were going to file the injunction, and then when Heber and Edward Wilson appealed Justice Hernandez's decision, and the same parties were in that appeal. So we were waiting to see for Dirlal Puran. He's a party, a named defendant. The person who sold him the land is a named defendant. And so we were waiting to see what defense there would, or what response they would have filed to this appeal. Because if they're claiming this land is theirs, and Edward Wilson is claiming that, and Heber is claiming the land is theirs, and in this appeal, they should provide some kind of response to the court. So we were waiting to see what response they were going to provide to the court. This matter is coming up today, right? And so, but while that was happening, while we were waiting peacefully for this matter, this appeal to come up, Mr. Puran leased the land to MySem, and they're in occupation. So now what we're doing, we're proceeding to the court. It's interesting. It would be interesting to see how that appeal goes today. That's at 10 o'clock. And then we're going to file the injunction against Mr. Puran and against my neighbor. And we're going to, we spoke to the police, and the police said that we are, so for 2 years, we're trying to do the survey, but we're being threatened to do the survey. Even, like I said, people threatened to kill me. So the police said that their role is to ensure that when we're ready to do the survey, we have served notices to do the survey. We'll be doing it on the 7th of this month. And the police has indicated that they would be on the ground to ensure that the survey is completed. The police is not concerned with what we're doing with the survey, but people cannot threaten to kill us and to prevent us from doing the survey. So that survey would be done on the 7th, and the Guyana Police Force has indicated that they would be on the ground on the 7th of August, when the survey would be conducted. And or the day, I haven't gotten back to them yet with the date, because we just recently served the notice, but I'm going to get on back to the Guyana Police Force and to so that they would know that the survey would be done on the 7th, and they will come on the ground. My neighbors can object to the survey. Mr. Puran can object to the survey, but what people cannot do is threaten to kill us and prevent us from doing the survey. And that's what the Guyana Police Force is, that's their intervention.
Yes, the role of the Guyana Police Force is to maintain the peace and ensure there is no breach of the peace, and that is why they should be there.
Yes, yes. So on the 7th, when the survey is conducted, and this is after 2 years, we're finally able to conduct the survey. The Guyana Police Force will be on the ground.
You know, Adriana, go ahead. You go ahead. Proceed.
So I would like to say, Kadaki, I appreciate your suggestion in terms of protesting in front of the British High Commission's office, but I'd like to give her an opportunity first to respond to my letter. And well, I'd say our letter, because so I'd like to give her the opportunity to respond to that letter, and to respond to the letter, or connect with me in terms of what steps the British High Commission is making to investigate the conduct of MySem Guyana International, as well as...
How long ago was she written to?
Pardon?
How long ago was she written to?
2 days. I took that letter to her office, to the High Commission 2 days ago. To
2
all of
days
the
ago.
offices. Yes, 2 days ago. So I would
Okay.
say let's give the High Commissioner 7 days, because I guess she has to share it with our legal office. I've attached to that letter also all of the transports around this land. Edward Wilson's transports, Puran's transports, my neighbor's transports. I attached the all of the relevant documents, the photographs of me protesting, etc. I also plan to, if the Minister of Health does not withdraw the contract from MySem, that whatever contract they have with them that is causing them to work in our land, we're also going to be protesting in front of the Ministry of Health. And we're going to continue our protest in front of MySem until they get off of our land. So while we also going to, well, now, like I said, we're also going to file the injunction. Once the, but, you know, like I said, they're powerful forces. So the court can decide that they're not going to grant the injunction. So we're not waiting on the court to grant the injunction. We're engaging in all of these different actions. So if the court grants the injunction, it seems sometimes, like I said, we got an injunction against us, even though we had the title. So sometimes our courts, they work in strange ways. And if we do not get the injunction, if the injunction is not granted, then we still have to engage in other measures. Like Justice Harnanen said in the matter with 18, we did not do enough to prevent them, the Waldrons, the people from the prairie, from having, or Karen Waldron rather, and from having continuous occupation. So what we're doing now with Lot 13 is trying to prevent them from having continuous occupation without by doing all of these different things that we're doing.
It's 6 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. I certainly want to wish you success in your journey. And I want to say to keep in the forefront of your mind that old adage that says, while the grass is growing, the horse is starving. A fight like this, quite frankly, for me, I ain't waiting on nobody. They got to play catch up. Because while I'm waiting, MySem is fencing my land.
Yes.
While I'm waiting, I'm losing beneficial occupation of my land.
Yes.
And so why wait? That's my position. I'm waiting. I usually tell people this story. As a youngster, just turned adult, I think, I found out that my neighbor, our western neighbor, had some land that belonged to us in his fence. I called the surveyor. The surveyor confirmed that. And when they were about to repair the fence, I told the contractor, I said, if you put 1 inch of wood over this land, we're going to get a problem.
Well, Kadaki, I can tell you this. With Lot 18, I can tell the Timeri police station, because we have the transport for the land, they have a transport that is not for this land. And we have waited for 30 years for the court to try to help us to find a solution. So now we have the transport for our lands, and we are going to be, let me put it this way, that we're not waiting for another 30 years. We waited 30 years to occupy that land, Kadaki, because every time we went on it, we were either chased off, the police came and took us off, the police locked us up, and all of that. Well, the police will have to be locking us up every day now, because...
You know, again, let me say this. I am going to repeat, I'm not a lawyer, but I am positive that the police doesn't have an authority to tell you not to occupy your land once you provide the necessary document. What the police has to do is to keep the peace. How they keep the peace is a matter for them. Listen, the police can't stop you. And we can take example from Lincoln Lewis at Kingley. The police can't stop you from building a fence on a land that you got title for. There's not a place. The first thing they should be declared, this is a private matter, let it go before the court. In the meantime, people do what they want to do.
But you know, even I would call his name, Inspector Harry Sawak, when he came and he told me that at 13 that we must stop building the fence because we're trespassing, and Puran has a transport. Puran or Devo has a transport for the land, right? And he said that and then by the night, Puran got some people to build a fence. But when he did that, it was indeed improper. But what the police was saying is that they have reduced the value of our will and the letter of decree, because when a second inspector came, he said that Puran has a transport, and the only documents are transport for land ownership, are the only official documents are transports and titles. So I am telling him that a letter of decree. So what do you do when you have the new law for transport and titles? You throw away the old law for letters of decree. You throw those away. But I'll tell you what, I went to see a senior officer in the Ghana Police Force. And that's when I realized that there are levels of understanding, because at the level of the inspectors, they were trying to make light of the will and the letter of decree. When I went to the senior officer and I was sharing all of these things with him, showed him the documents, he asked me one question that I thought was key, and it said to me, he understood what I was saying. He said, who issued the letter of decree? And I told him the state, the British state at the time. And he said, okay. He didn't say much. He listened to what I had to say. But that one question was different from the two inspectors who came and say, Mr. Puran got a transport, and that, we don't have a transport. And
you see,
yes,
that is why the police has no authority to make determination on those things, because let me call it for what it is. The average police, sorry if I sound disrespectful, they're semi-literates. They don't know anything about those legal matters. They don't know anything about, they barely understand the law that they function under. And so who are you to tell me that the only claim to legal ownership of land is transport? They got titles, they got decrees, they got all manner of documents for
grants. You have grants
let
also.
me tell you quite frankly.
Yes, grants.
You can miss your disclaimer after I say this. All I've seen in these matters, Adriana, is an Indo conspiracy to take away black people land. Me see it no other way. From the judge, right down to the police, right down to the crook, Mr. Puran or whoever, that's what I see. There's a long list of Indo Guyanese fighting black people for land that they believe that they ain't got no right to own it.
But I also tell you this, Kadaki. I do believe that the inspector, particularly Inspector Harry Sawak, he was trying to help Mr. Puran. I do believe that. But I also want to tell you is that our lawyer is an Indian lawyer. And what I like about our lawyer is that when I listen to our lawyer, he does not only understand that we are fighting for land, he understands heritage. And he and we would talk about these things. And so he understands that it's not just our land, and it's a quite interesting scenario, but he understands that we are also fighting for our heritage. So the same lawyer is representing us in the matter with against Kieran Waldron with Lot 18. The same lawyer is representing us in the matter with Lot 13, where we Justice Harnanan dismissed the case. And the same lawyer is representing us now in the appeal today. So I must say that, and I was telling somebody that this lawyer, he's representing us like family. I said it before in another program, because he understands, and I'll tell you, and I will tell you who's the lawyer. And even though my lawyer and I will say this publicly, my lawyer and I have political differences. Our lawyer is Mr. Datidin. And Mr. Datidin and I have political differences, right? He is from one political side, I am from one political side. But Mr. Datidin has represented us in these matters like family. He represented us as soon as the same day when Justice Harnanan gave his decision last week Friday. he said that he's going to appeal the matter, right? And I'm also telling you this too, when I said to you that that we're also up against the black bourgeois, as in the case of the people from the prairie who were trying to get our land. This is a case where we're also up against the black people are also up against the black bourgeois. So we're in that if I could call it precarious situation. You understand? In that Mark Waldron is a lawyer. There is a fraternity. His sister, we were bringing the matter up against, right? And so there are all of these dynamics in our society. I just wanted, and I leave it there because I know that you will understand. So there's a fraternity among the black bourgeois, if I can put it that way. And sometimes as a peasant, people see you as peasants with all this land. And we find ourselves in situations. And like I said to you, Mr. Datadin representing us, and he's representing us like family in this matter. And so while I hear what you're saying, because I do believe that Inspector Hari Prasad was trying to support Diolal Puran or Devo, because he felt Devo had a transport. And I felt in the case of Justice Harnanan, I asked myself in this decision with Lot 18, if the tables were turned and we had the transport as peasants against some bourgeois had taken us to court, would Justice Harnanan had allowed us to keep the transport for the land of bourgeois? I'm just putting it to you, the various dynamics in our society. And that is why the land support group that we're starting is to represent people irrespective of who you are. There are lots of people out there who, if my family didn't have me, or if a lawyer didn't take our case, because I'll tell you, there's some lawyers who wouldn't take the case because, you know, Mark Waldron is a lawyer, he's well connected and all the rest of it. And so if my family didn't have me, we would have lost 18, we would have lost 13. So there are families out there, people out there who are losing their lands. And I'm saying, call me. You don't have to pay. We're going to come to the meetings with the Attorney General and advocate for you and to ensure that the government only get the land that they should get for these road projects, for these gas energy projects, for bridges, etc. And we're going to, I'm hoping, Kadaki, like I said, and I'll close here, is to do that we can form a group, maybe even if we get a little bit of funding, and do some land education and awareness so that people can know what the acquisition for public, for acquisition of private lands for public purposes, what the act says as it relates to them. We can simplify that act. They can know how much land the law says that the government should get if they're building roads, whether it be 1 lane, 2 lane, 4 lanes. They should know what the law says as it relates to if the government is running gas to energy power lines. So, Kadaki, I guess this work has really just begun in a more structured way.
Thank you for coming, Adriana. And again, I'm saying I wish you luck. There's some things I would rather say in your absence. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Kadaki. Have a good day also. Goodbye.
Bye. You know, I tell y'all, when Adriana mentioned a lawyer and so on, I have due respect for her judgment. I have due respect for our lawyers and everything. And I can't help thinking that I will walk with you to the finish line to what you feel. I always keep that in my mind. Not that I'm saying Allah is not doing a good job, but I'm asking myself if alacrity, who's calling you? By the phone there, right? Yeah, how may I help you? Hello? Yes.
The police, let me just touch on a little of the police. The police are being made scapegoats by this government. And I'm going to say this to the public, to let the world and the public know. This administration have gotten a firm grip on the police force, and they are making sure they make every attempt to destroy members of the police force by giving them orders to destroy, to discredit them, and not have them to be respected as police. That is one. And Jack Dio's regime, the Jack Dio's regime, not the Ali, because I'm telling you this, it's not Ali running this country, it's Jack Dio's running this country. Jack Dio is making sure that he destroys all those police in giving them orders to violate the rights of the people of this country. That is one. Two, the lady that just came off the program have highlighted a very sensitive situation in this country with respect to lands. Now, while the government is pursuing in a direction to distract Black people in this country, which shows to distract them from the real price, is clear to say that we as a people have to be very conscious of what is going on in this country. And the end result, Jagdio is ensuring that he put all mechanisms and systems in place in this country to mash Black people in this country here so that they wouldn't be of any comfort of them and existence in this country, in our society. And the Black race is not conscious until now what is really going on. Many of them, I'm not saying all, many of them are not aware and conscious of what is going on. What my grandmother told me, and she told me this, and these words were reiterated by Jagdio himself. She said, you own the land, you own the country. And it is clearly showing that this administration, the Ali's Jagdio's administration, is making every effort to ensure that whenever the time comes that they have to leave office or they remain in office, it's clear to show that Black people have no way of existing in this country comfortably, not for themselves, not for us who are presently here, but for our future generations. Mr. Gadaki, thank you for having me. God bless you and the family, and God bless your supporters. Thank you.
Thank you for that call, and my intention wasn't to take any calls, so y'all don't call me no, please and thank you. It's 10 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I got a simple philosophy. I tell you all, I went to school in Annandale and so on. I know Muslim neighbors chop up each other for inch of land, 4 inches of land. Y'all see what going on in Gaza? Y'all see what's going on in Palestine and so on? Hear me. My position is simple. If my ancestors shed blood, sweat, and tears for it, I could shed blood, sweat, and tears to keep it. Y'all interpret that however you want. But no policeman ain't come in and tell me I don't have right to my land. If I can't fence it, the other person can't fence it. If I can't occupy it, the other person can't occupy it. Let the court make the determination. And then I going to decide if the court's determination is just and fair. Or if we're going to have to run to the end of the world with it. You know, when Adriana was talking just now about the law and our lawyers and so on, or lawyer and so on, I remember a skit. I think Yusika and Brother Kwana wrote that skit. At least I know we performed it in the Village Theater, which he started. In fact, it might be a Jamaican play called Goose and Gander. There were two neighbors fighting over land. And both of them went to lawyers. And it so happened that the lawyers were body friends. And when they turn up in court and they recognize who representing who, they exchange note. You got the goose and I got the gander. You have the goose and I got the gander. You all decide who got the goose and who got the gander. What you are going to do to them, the poultry. This country is a cesspit, a cesspool of corruption. I mean, I started talking about it just at the beginning of this week. When I saw the machinations and maneuverings taking place in the judiciary to move the acting chief magistrate and put a lesser qualified and experienced person in our place, and to shut her out of court, and then to put, according to the newspaper or some article I read, the most junior of judges to act as chief justice, and move the current acting chief justice, the acting chancellor, and all of that. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, last night on the TikTok, somebody asked me what was happening there, and I'm going to say no if you all didn't recognize it. It is the government maneuvering and shifting people around in the judiciary to ensure that after this election and their attempts to corrupt it, they got judges who will take their side blindly. Who will take their side blindly? They ain't concerned nothing but law. All they're seeing is ethnicity and ethnic domination and Indian supremacy. I don't care who say what. The ERC could say what. I don't care who say what. I call it for I see it. The PPP behaves as though African Guyanese ain't got no right in this country, that we ancestors moved billions of tons of earth to humanize. And so if they want to go back to the wild, wild west, then what happened? Let we wild out. Y'all have a good day. Much love. Tough love is love too. Education is good. It brings civility. But too much civility could be bad for your own existence. Y'all have a good one. I got. Y'all remember? And I see some people are asking for GUYANESE number. Y'all send me WhatsApp. Inbox me. I'm gonna send don't go to Messenger. I really don't go there. Inbox me on WhatsApp. I'll send you whatever information you want. Goodbye.